What are them sons of fishes up to now?
Fellas, I give you the force trolling motor. It is the most powerful, the most efficient on the water.
Yep. Most powerful. We're really in trouble now.
And it's quiet, too. You can't swim here.
What a dumb bass.
Maui Jim sunglasses were born on the beaches of Hawaii, designed to respond to the bright sun and harsh glare of the islands, all while enhancing the view. After 30 years, we're still independently owned, and the free-thinking Hawaiian spirit that first inspired us is still a part of everything we do. Our Polarized Plus 2 lenses not only protect eyes from harmful rays, they also make colors more vivid and contrast crisper. Try on a pair and see for yourself. The view's better from here.
G'day, welcome to ABT Live, episode 26. 26 episodes since we decided we're all off having coronavirus holidays. Let's do something. Steve Morgan here, behind the scenes over there, Nicole Smith, who won't run in front of the camera, but you know she's there doing most of the work. I just do all the talking in front of the camera. All happening here at the office, notwithstanding the fact that it just started pissing down rain outside, so it is literally all happening here. We haven't stopped since we decided to have a couple of grand finals at the end of 2021. And actually the inventor of that idea was Jamie McEwen. We were talking about how we were trying to run grand finals and we didn't have enough weekends for them, and he said, why don't you just run two grand finals that are really close together on the same weekend? And we're like, go away Jamie, you're not going to tell us those things. And then we're going, actually that's a pretty good idea. So apologies to those that couldn't make it before Christmas. But we got the same sort of numbers we get to the usual grand finals anyway. So for everyone that couldn't make it, I suppose there was people who could make it. And we've got some really happy winners on the first story there tonight. Because the grand finals were offset so far and so close to Christmas, our normal sponsorship selling cycle has been disrupted as well. And because we're going to Tassie this year, the Vic Tour starts nice and early. So we've had a really compressed timeline between running grand finals, selling sponsorship, making the tournament angle guide. A little bit more about that in a while. And we sort of haven't stopped all the way since, so we're looking forward to when the Victoria road trip finishes. We can have a couple of days off after that. But big thanks to Nicole, who does all the sponsorship selling and does all the good things behind the scenes to make it all work. But thanks to all of our suppliers and sponsors who've made it all happen as well. You know, most sponsors were a phone call, an email. They're like, yep, we love it. Let's do it again next year. Let's do it bigger and better. The guys that make our checks, you know, Joey Urquhart getting the trophies together. The guys that print the stickers for the trophies. The guys that do the badges. We gave them like a roll with 800 badges on it the other day and said, you need to put all the schoolwork aside and do the ABT work, and they get things done for us. So it's a bit of a team effort from half of Brisbane to get the season started. But getting the season started, we're going to do. We're really glad that the grand finals got done. We have more grand finals this year, so if you missed out in 2021, don't worry. We've got just as good, if not better, prizes happening in 2022. And a quick shout out as well to the guys from Brad and the guys from Alloy Craft Dash Bluefin Boats, getting those together. The guys from Mike's Marine who strapped the Mercuries on the back. How cool was the boat, you know, with a full Garmin setup, big Lowrance HDS 12 lives on it. Green Marine lithium batteries in them, precision trailers underneath. They were the ultimate fishing machines and they were turnkey, ready to go. We have got the tag printed. The Tournament Angler Guide, that's something else that we do in between all of the other things that we do. This is inserted into all of the 20,000 Fishing Monthly magazines that go nationally. It's 40 pages this year. It was 32 pages last year. We needed to go to 40 pages to hold all of the content that we wanted to put in there. All of ABT's sponsors have ads in there. There are feature stories from Barra, Bass and Bream. And look on the cover, there's all of our selection of winners from last year. Have a look up close, there they are. I especially like just near the number 22, we've got Tommy Wood's head there. He goes, man, I'm on the cover of a magazine. I go, yeah, you are. Your eyes and your nose are on the cover of a magazine. Well done all the people to have made the cover. If you want to read the tournament angler guide, you don't want to wait till it's out in Fishing Monthly. It is now on the front page of the ABT website. You can go and click and read the digital copy on issue.com. It takes your link, will take us straight there. I think actually it's embedded in the page. You can actually read it on the site. So we've been busy getting that ready for you as well. Let's talk a little bit about the app. There's some tournaments this year, probably a third of all tournaments that we're going to run in 2022 are run on the app. And this is done for a variety of reasons. We ran the Bass Pro Grand Final on the app. We had to because we wanted a 5-fish limit. We didn't have a permit to keep 5 fish in the live well. But also, it worked out pretty well at the Bass Grand Final because it was so hot. It was 37 degrees on the final weigh-in on the Saturday at Korakai, and I'm pretty sure we were going to have fish care issues. And you'd hate to lose a $60,000 boat by having a fish roll over in your live well. So there are the whole first tranche of events, the Victorian road trip. 3 of those 4 events have to run on the app because of bag limit and slot limit requirements. And because we're doing that, we've got the 4th event running on the app as well. Now, this is a bit unscripted, but have a look now at the big Mercury trailer that we're borrowing to run these events. Nicole's going to put a couple of pics up on the screen now. It's Mercury's, it's called their Mercury Edge, they call it. They normally go to boat shows and places. They display all of their products. You can take rides in Mercury boats. But that Dodge Ram there and that big old trailer are going to be our event base for the first 4 events at Malakuta, Gippsland Lakes, Blue Rock and Glen Maggie. Now you can see it set up there. It's got 3 plasma screens there. It's got an office. It's got PAs. It's got barbecues, fridges, every single thing you need a Dodge Ram to tow around. And I think you're going to be pretty impressed with the level of professionalism we're going to bring to this year's events. We're going to have scoreboards, pictures, all the stuff scrolling on the screens there. We've got a real good looking event site this year. So thank you very much to Anthony Brown, the team at Mercury, for loaning us their Dodge Ram and their trailer. And it hasn't even been taken out of the box yet. Like, it's brand new. I think its first trip is going to be with us when we pick it up from Melbourne and drive it out to Malakuta. So if you can't find the event site, look for the big Mercury trailer and you can't miss it. It's going to be huge. We have done events on apps in the Barra Tour for the last 3 or 4 years, and more specifically, we've been doing catch photo release events in the Barra Tour since 2005. So this whole concept of releasing fish at the point of capture isn't new for guys who catch the big fish, but it is probably a little bit newer for guys that do the bass and the bream events. And there are advantages and disadvantages with all the systems. The advantage in Gippsland Lakes is we can count a bream which is over 38 centimetres in length. The slot limit at the moment means the biggest bream you can keep, 38 centimetres. Any bigger than that, you'd have to get a permit for fisheries to do it. We've had extensive discussions with fisheries. They'll give us a permit to do over 38 centimetre bream, but they would only do it for 1 year. So eventually we're going to have to go onto the app anyway. Guess what? ABT is good at running app tournaments. Let's lead the way instead of follow. So I've got a few hints for you. If you're watching now and you're going to do Victorian, you might be a bit apprehensive about, oh, I haven't done an app event before. Here's some tips. Firstly, download it off Google Play or the Apple Store and put it on your phone. We have a practice event set up there. Once you've logged in and done all the things you need to do to log in and register yourself for it, there is a practice event on there. You can go and hit the practice event and you can put a photo of this in, that, your dog, your shoes, your boat, whatever. Practice putting things into the event so that you know the system on what buttons you push to take a photo, to retake a photo, to hit it. Anytime you put an entry in the app and then hit submit, it should come up, your catch has been registered, go and catch some more, or something to that effect. So you know it's going in properly. There's a log function on the app where you can go and you can see all the things that you've put in, and there's sort of a simple red, amber, green light system for if we've got them or not. If it goes green, it means we got it. If it's amber, it means they've got the data and not the picture, and if it's red, haven't got it at all. Don't worry, the app works both in and out of mobile service, so if you're on a shitty network like Vodafone or something like that, and it only works when you get back, that's fine, we can sort that out for you. My tips for using the app are, normally you have to think about making sure your live well's working for a tournament. In an app event, you don't have to make sure your live well's working. You have to make sure your phone's working. Things like bring yourself a power bank maybe to keep the power up to it if you're going to be on the phone all day, or if you've got a shitty battery in your phone. If it's raining, bring an umbrella. Best thing in my boat for an app tournament is an umbrella. So if I catch a fish and I take a photo and let it go, I can put the umbrella up, sit under it, and I can type the things into the app without the rain falling on the screen. Simple little things that make life a little easier. When you run an app tournament as well, you'll get a folder like this with some waterproof paper and a score sheet on it. It's waterproof, it can rain all over it, you can write on it while it's wet. My second tip is, when you catch a fish and want to put in the app, take a photo of it on the phone first. Take your glory photo. If you've got an on-boater with you, want to take a glory photo. Once you've got those 2 photos on your phone, you're sweet. You can let the fish go, and then you can go to the app and import that photo that you've just taken into the app. Once that photo is taken on your phone, if all the worst things happen, your phone, the internet goes down, whatever, we can look at that photo, look at your score sheet, and we can reconstruct a score sheet from it. We always have a problem where someone has a drama, we can always reconstruct it. But as soon as you upload that, and then it goes and counts on the live scoreboard, guess what? Doesn't even matter if your phone drops over the water. We've got that catch registered on the cloud, and you're sweet. So, dropping your phone over the water is the digital equivalent of your live well full of fish all dying. And having a photo corrupt or something go wrong with one fish and then letting it go before you've got the photo of it, that's the equivalent of a fish dying in your live well. So there are digital equivalents to everything when it comes to that. One thing I've learned in tournaments is, if you're fishing on the app, if you're using the app to catch a fish, you don't have to do upgrading anymore. There's no pulling fish out, there's no balance beaming and weighing. The app works it all out for you. So you just put all your fish in for the day and it shows you what your biggest 5 fish are. And then some idiot's not going to sit there in an event upgrading with 4 fish all day. What idiot did that in the grand final? That doesn't happen. You would get all your fish, and even if you have a fish die in the live, it would count because you'd already weighed it and let it go. So for all the disadvantages you can think of an app, I think you'll find advantages, and give it a go before you knock it. Producer says,
Blake O'Grady on the YouTube says, plastic sandwich bag from experience for your phone when it's raining.
That's it. There you go. Blake O'Grady with the life hack, plastic sandwich bag for your phone, Blake reckons, and it can go in there and away you go. And Blake, buy yourself an umbrella. Umbrellas are good, especially those touchscreen phones, sometimes hard to use with wet hands. Get the umbrella up, have a dry towel there, you'll be sweet. So lots of guys, and Blake, he fished the Barra Tour, he knows how it all works. There is nothing like an event where you can see a live scoreboard. I don't care how good you are at saying I'm not going to look at the scoreboard. You look at it. Your friends look at it, your friends text you. We have more hits on the live scoreboard than we have on any of the coverage we do for anything else. So give it a go, practice, give us a call if you're having any dramas. We'll try and sort them all out for you. By the end of it, you all are going to be experts standing in front of that Mercury trailer running some great events. Been through all the hints there. Let's have a comp for tonight. Now, I've got this, I have this massive box of tackle. This might remind you of the boxes that we gave away some of the Bass and Bream Grand Final prizes in. It has got a mountain of stuff in it. We've got a Lowrance hat, we've got a Sunline shirt, got some of the cool coloured bait junkie plastics, we've got a couple of 13 bait caster reel covers there. We have got Pro Lure Molex. We've got Molex jigs, we've got Pro Lure plastics, we have Siglon braid there, we've got Lucky Craft top water, we've got some Daiwa J-thread leader, we have got some Bassman spinnerbaits, a whole shitload of BKK hooks in there, and some Bassman jig heads. There's hundreds of dollars worth of tackle in there. It's our only comp for tonight. Because we thought if we're only going to do one comp, we might as well make it a good one. Tell us where you're watching from. Doesn't matter if you're watching on Facebook. Doesn't matter if you're watching on YouTube. Nicole will pick a winner randomly from between those 2 channels tonight, and they are going to get all of that stuff there. Apologies in advance. It's a large shirt, so if you don't fit a large shirt, you might have to give that on to someone who's going to fit it. I think that's enough from me. You've heard me drone on for 10 minutes. Let's talk about the first segment. We have corralled both of our grand final winners, who collectively won 125 grand worth of prizes, Mario and Dane. All right, here we go. We have got the 2021 talent pool refined down to 2 people here at the moment. Between them, they won over $120,000 worth of boats. Got Mario Vukic sitting there looking like he has won the Bream Grand Final, because he did, and Dane Price, and he's a little bit more relaxed because he's won 2 grand finals. He knows what it's all about. He went head-to-head. Welcome, guys, to ABT Live.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
You know what? When I won my first tournament, it wasn't even an ABT tournament. It was it was called the Bassmaster tournament on Lake Clary Hall. It wasn't until I was driving home at the end of the day where I'm driving home and I've got the trophy sitting behind me and I'm like, just won a tournament. It's awesome. What time, and we'll start with you, Mario, what time did you have that moment where you just went, I am the overlord?
Well, see, I had to drive home with Jesse, so, we by the end of the trip, I reckon I weighed in about 7.5 kilos on day 2. That's how big our fish ended up.
We're getting bigger.
We just had a terrific drive home. But I reckon when I've actually got the actual trophy with the brim on it, with all the plaques of all the people that have won it, I put it up on my wall, and when I put it up on the wall and I looked at it, that was the moment I thought, geez, I've actually done something special here.
Yeah,
I didn't
and you
realise
notice that no one's won it twice ever.
Yeah.
And you'll see there's 21 names or 22 names on there now, and no one's won it twice. And the grand final next year is down in Victoria, mate. I think it's at Malakuta, so you never know. It might be the first one to do it twice.
Well, I hope so. It's then I realise I've had about 8 or 10 goes at it, and they're not easy to win.
And you got to give that trophy back at the end. So I know you got it on your wall there somewhere. You have to bring it back to Malakuta and then maybe take it back. Dane, you would know a little bit about taking the trophy off the wall. Where did it live at your place last year? And has it gone back to the same spot?
I live right at the end of my hallway, so as soon as you walk in the front door, you can see it.
Nice.
And I actually had a bit of a funny story with that trophy. I think I told a few people about. I started my trip to Korakai, and I'm on Lake Macquarie. I got to Taree, so about 2 hours from home, and then I remembered that I forgot something very important, and it was that trophy. I packed it up, but it was sitting in its box at home, so I considered for about 1 minute. I thought, can I leave it there? Can I just give it back to him later? And I thought, no, if I was winning the trophy, I'd want the trophy straight away. So I turned around, went back and got it, and
and then took it home again.
Didn't need to.
No, we did need it because we needed it for the photos, etc. And mate, it's very rare to go head to head for grand finals. In the Bream, no one's ever done it. We've had a few guys do it in the Bass, but you're the most recent of the guys. And I think the coolest part about your grand final win, Dane, is you did it on a lake first and then on a river, because it's chalk and cheese, the difference, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I was pretty happy to do exactly that, do one lake win and a river win as well. I guess I kind of always started off bass fishing in rivers, and I seen myself as a river fisherman to begin with. But starting the tournaments, I did a lot more on the lakes, and I guess I sort of honed my skills first with the lakes, but I always had my river fishing to fall back onto. So I was always confident in rivers and never really had a good result until the Clarence last year. I had a decent result. I think I got a 5th.
Yep.
And I kind of worked on from that, and it was good to get a win on a river as well. I was really happy with that.
Talking about being out of comfort zones, Mario, you were a Victorian fishing for yellowfins on a river you'd never even been on before.
Actually, I did go on it about, 8 years ago when the grand final was there a long, long time ago.
Right.
And I came a solid, I think, 42nd out of 45th back then.
So
it gave me a little bit of an insight on what it's like. And I just thought to myself, if I go head-to-head with these, New South Wales and Queenslanders who know the system well, there's no way I'm going to be any good against them guys. So I'm just going to do what I do like. And I just thought, look, I like fishing rock walls. I like, throwing crabs and plastics and hard bodies, whatever it is. But like a deeper type of rock wall, that'll suit me fine with some nice, beautiful blue water pushing in at some point in time. And that's why I concentrated mainly up the front, even in the pre-fish. I had a look up the river and it looked crap compared to down the front. But we both know that they can be in that water, but I couldn't catch them there. So I thought, no use me trying to whack away at something I can't do at the moment. I'm going to go up the front.
That's a good lesson for all anglers watching this, is you pick your strengths and you try to find the part of the arena that fits your strengths. I remember one of the original highlights videos we did, I edited a video of you at Malakuta fishing the up where it goes into the narrows
Yep.
on those steep walls there.
Yep.
You know what? It's sort of the same thing, isn't it? It's
It is.
dropping off into the deep and the brim is sitting that 10, 15, 20 foot down,
Yep.
throwing a crab.
And invariably on a rock wall, there's sort of points in that where there's a bit of tide coming through, and it just suited the way I like fishing. So it was good.
Dane, no one could not accuse you of not fishing to your strengths as well. I'm pretty sure those guys that make those Vex jigs, you'd have to have nearly 6 figures worth of wins attached to those things there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's my mate Mark Ferguson pointed that out. He gave me a phone call on my drive home, and he pointed that out. I'm nearly at 6 figures on winnings now, which is a pretty cool fort to have. And yeah, definitely most of that is on the my old faithful Vex jig. The only thing I really changed up this time is that I used a black purple instead of a black brown, which I think most people know is my favourite. I stick to what I know, and that black brown's a favourite for sure.
Between you and I hope you don't buy them. I hope you get them for free.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all right, because I think he's done all right out of you there. Look, a little bit looking forward. I know both of you are fishing halves of the Victorian road trip. Mario, you're doing the Bream halves, and Dane, you're obviously doing the bass halves of it. I want a bit of a prediction from you guys about how's it going to go. I want a bit of a tip for you, Mario, about how Malakuta is going to fish and who you think might do well there. And then Gippsland Lakes, how it's going to fish and who's going to do well there. Give us a report.
Okay, so Malakuta, I was actually there at Christmas time, like between Boxing Day and just after New Year's. I planned to spend a lot longer, but unfortunately I got COVID with the whole of family, so we went home. So what I do know is that of all the systems in Victoria, it is fishing really, really well because it's got a massive entrance at the moment. And there's a lot of dirty water coming down the system, but because the entrance is so wide, there's plenty of beautiful water coming in, as the tide comes in. So the bottom lake is absolutely full of yellowfin bream. Now, finding the big ones is where it's going to be, one. But I wouldn't mind betting that it'll be one on yellowfin instead of blacks. Up the system, didn't fish all that well, but that 3 weeks is a long time, or a month's a long time in black bream fishing. So I'm sure someone will find them. But it really opens up the field to, both Victorians and New South Welshmen, because you can basically target whatever you like. People that are good at yellowfin. Look, I'm not going to narrow it down to a person, but I can tell you now, anyone that can fish hard bodies well, they'll be up there. I think it might be one back. It hasn't been one on hard bodies for a while, but I reckon hard bodies will almost win Malakuta. Gippy Lakes, Gippsland Lakes, well, they've had a lot of fresh water, like the floods, like 30, 40-year floods down there. And you know how many rivers run into that system. Yep. So it's really caused havoc, to be honest with you, whereby there's been just total fresh coming down, and there's been a bit of the mussels and that have suffered, and the bream been really, really scarce, but someone will find them. I wouldn't mind betting that it's not because the entrance that gives they might be there as well, but it's going to be tough. But in those tough, it's going to be tough for everyone basically. So it doesn't really matter who you are or where you're fishing. It's going to be tough. So to work them out on the day. But look, I would think that a Victorian would probably have a big advantage there when it's tough like this.
How about on the app, the fact that there's no minimum size? We have to do it on the app because there's that 38 centimetre slot limit to the 29 centimetre, but any fish counts. So do you think the undersized fish might come into play? Someone catches a few kickers, makes up their bag with little ones.
Absolutely. I mean, the app is going to be an absolute godsend on this comp, because if you can find, look, I would take 5 25 tip bream straight up right now. If they offered me that, I'd take it on day one. Now, for the first half of it, give me a few hours to try and look for something bigger. But look, honestly, it's going to be really, really important being able to do it on the app this time.
Great. We really appreciate that insight, Murray. It's not often that I believe people before tournaments, but I believe that intel from you. I reckon your heart's right on the sleeve there. Dane, what's your history like at Glen Maggie and Blue Rock? Have you been to any of these places before?
Yeah, I haven't been to Glen Maggie, but Blue Rock is a bit of a sour memory. Just because of the pre-fish last year, I still remember it. I was up fishing I think it's a 4-knot or 6-knot zone there. I can't remember.
Yep.
Up fishing there, and I remember sort of working my way back out into the main river, and it was maybe about midday, and there was hardly any boats on the water, and I kind of thought, everyone's given up their pre-fish. And I had like okay pre-fish. I was feeling pretty confident. I thought, everyone else has given up. Like, this is good. I might do okay in this comp. And sort of drove around the lake, and my phone was going off getting messages, and I just didn't look at it. And eventually I had a couple phone calls in a row, and I thought, I should probably check that. It was nearly 2:00 at this stage. And that's when I got the message that the border was getting closed and the comp was off because of COVID and lockdown. And then, I sort of stopped at a few boats that I seen on the lake and told them, because I assumed they didn't know, and everybody knew that was the Victorians. So I think I was one of the last out-of-state guys still fishing, because I wasn't paying attention to what was going on with the rest of the world.
Crossing the border at 11:00 at night.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, I chucked Mick Johnson and Maddie Langford in the car, and we did the run over the border, and we made it. So.
So there you go. That pre-fish. They say that the Blue Rock's up again, so it should be relevant for this year. That pre-fish. What about Glen Maggie? What have you heard about that joint?
So I had Declan James as a non-boater in the Glenbourne round last year, and he spoke pretty highly of it. Said there are some really good quality fish in there. So definitely looking forward to it. I guess I've only had a look on Google Maps. It's sort of hard to really get an idea of what the lake's going to fish like, because it kind of looks like just quite a large bowl, but I'm sure there's a lot of structure underwater and things that only the locals would know about. So it'll definitely be an interesting sort of round. But I think it should be a good start to the season.
What's the chance you're going to have a jig tied on? 110, 120%?
Yeah. What's the highest I can go? It'll be at least 100%. There'll be at least one tied on. There'll be some other stuff tried, but I don't think I've done a tournament without trying one at least. It might not come out in the tournament, but it'll come out for pre-fish at least.
Dane, when was your moment when you were just like, oh my God, I won 2 of these in a row? Like, anyone who saw the video of how we revealed it at the end, the fact that your last fish just snuck ahead of Maddie Langford's, was it instant, or was it a couple of days later when you thought, or when you put your trophy back in its spot, maybe that it hit you?
It definitely wasn't instant. It was, I guess, on the day I was so convinced, because so many people come up to me and said, "Oh, congrats, you got second," and I was pretty happy with second, considering I think I was in 12th after day one.
Yeah.
But I also think I said I would have rather got third than second. I would have rather not been so close. But and then when I just got Maddie at the end there, it was a little bit, I guess, unbelievable, I guess is the word. And it did take me a while to realise that. And I think the moment would have been, I had Chris Banks. He helped me out a lot getting the boat home. He took it to his place at Coffs, and then he actually met me halfway again at Harrington to pick it up. And I think it was when I met him halfway at Harrington, I was putting the boat on the back of my car, and I was thinking, I won that. It's pretty cool. And I sort of drove home from there, and I was like, 2 in a row. That's not bad. I think that was the moment. That was that was it.
It's awesome. That's why we fish tournaments. We love fishing tournaments because we love being in an environment we like, with people we like, and then just occasionally you have your time in the sun and it all lines up and you can do the Carl Jochimson moment. So guys, thanks very much for being such great winners. I don't think I've ever had 2 guys that are so humble and so proud to win the events. You got there in a short time. We ran those events, at the last moment because we could. We've got another set of grand finals happening at the end of the year, and I know you guys have got instant qualification for those because the defending champion gets to do it again. So, Dane, pressure's not on, but a three-peat, we're waiting for you. And Mario, you're going to be a local at your last event, so who knows? Maybe another year's time we're sitting here doing this again.
Let's hope so.
Guys, thanks for joining us on ABT Live. We'll see both of you guys down in Victoria.
Great. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Let us make this absolutely clear. The days of wasted casts and missed opportunities are over. New Mega Imaging takes fishing into the megahertz range for the first time, because higher frequency sonar means higher frequency of this. Without a doubt, it's the most detailed picture of the world below ever. And it's only from Humminbird.
Aren't they great guys? And 125 grand worth of boats went to those two guys collectively there. So well done, New South Wales. Well done, Victoria. You've got yourself some new grand final champions. Going to roll through a few of the sponsor bonuses we've got happening this year at the 2022 events. One of the really cool one is for the Bass Pro non-boaters. The Bream non-boaters might remember a few years ago we had the Hobie bonus where everyone got a Hobie shirt at the start of the year and got paid cash if you came first, second or third of the guys wearing the shirts at the final weigh-in. Well, we've got a similar thing happening in the Bass this time for the non-boaters. It's the Rapala jersey bonus. You get one of those cool Rapala jerseys with the hood, with the buff, and with the thumb holes in the sleeves all into it. They retail at $90. So as part of your $150 entry, the first tournament you fish each year, you get one of those jerseys. Now, if you wear it on day 2 of the event, and we see you at the weigh and we mark you down on the score sheet. Sorry?
Both days.
In both days. I've got to wear it both days. I'm going to smell. So you're going to wear it both days. We mark you down on the scoreboards, and if you are the top first, second, or third person wearing your free shirt, which is the right shirt to wear because it's the naming sponsor of the rounds anyway, you win $250 cash for first, $125 for second, and $75 for third. It's the same payout levels as we pay the boaters in the Bream and Bass for the Mercury bonus. So the Bass non-boaters get themselves a bit of extra cash this year and the free shirt. So big thank you to Rapala for doing it. Nicole, is it the Rapala or the 13 fishing shirt? It's the Rapala shirt, the red one with the white and the black on it. So it's a great looking shirt. Everyone in the Rapala Queensland Open got one last year. You would have seen half the field wearing it. Some of those may feature in Maddie Langford's show, which is premiering tomorrow night. His show, The Open. I'm pretty sure he's wearing one of those shirts in that as well. Speaking of Maddie Langford, let's go and have a chat to him now. We caught up with the man who's in the Tournament Angler Guide looking like this. All right, here he is. The last time I talked to him on ABT Live, he was about to have a crack at winning the 2021 13 Fishing Bass Pro Angler of the Year title, and he's done it. Maddie Langford, welcome to Live.
Hello, thanks for having me. Yeah.
And I noticed the trophy's right there too, behind you.
Yeah, I just conveniently placed it in the background.
Mate, it is yours for another year. If you don't know the deal, you get the perennial trophy to keep for a year that you've got to give back, but then you get the cool little take-home Joey Urquhart trophy that you can use to hold books together or hold the door open or throw at the dog or whatever you do when you get home. But you keep it.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's good. I got him sitting right here too, so it looks good. He does a good job.
Your aim going down to the Richmond River for that last event we ran just before Christmas was just to tie up that Angler of the Year title.
Yeah.
Got a bit more serious than that come day 2 of the event. Run us through what happened down there. We all have seen it, but I want your perspective because we heard Dane's perspective. He loved that shit.
Yeah. No, it's yeah. Well, of course, the whole reason to go down was obviously try and wrap up the AOY. And I had Mike Nielsen and Chris Banks there sort of nipping at the heel. So I needed to go down and do well, and those guys are renowned river fishermen. So I guess the pressure was on a little bit, but it was good. I sort of I was happy with my pre-fish and found the ability to be able to catch 5. So went into it, caught 5 the first day, and sort of put myself in a position where I was above Mike, and I was happy with that. And then basically from then on, from the I think it was the Saturday, went out again and had a slower start than what I normally would have on the Friday, and then just went fishing, and I got 3 at the sugar mill. I thought I could get my bag there, but I got 3, and then I sort of just poked up the river and followed the tide, and I just fished different banks that I never have sort of fished before, and they didn't look like anything, but I went and fished them, and there was fish on them, so caught them, caught my 5, and I think it was about 11 o'clock, I sort of made a decision. I knew I had to sort of, if I was going to have a shot at winning, and I think I was still maybe 4th or 5th, I had to go and do something totally different, because I was sort of getting just those, the 32s to 35 sort of range.
Yep.
And then I threw that out the window, and it was a higher tide. And I saw a bank that had a whole heap of flooded trees. I just put a frog on, and I threw a frog for 2 hours. But the good thing about it is I must have picked the right time, because I got a couple of really good bites, and I thought, okay, that was enough to keep me there. And then I got a 38, and then I got a 41, and then I got a 35. I had 132 still in my bag, but by that time, I'd run out of time, and I thought I'd put myself in a real good position. I had actually a couple of texts from people saying, "What are you doing? You're leading. You're leading. Yeah. What are you doing? Whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because you're leading." And then race back to the weigh-in, I was anticipating. I was sort of beside myself, because I just wanted to know if I'd done enough to win it, because that prize was an amazing prize. But like I said, I just went down there to win the AOI trophy, but to have a shot at the boat too. But then Dane pulled a freakish fish out, and just relegated me to 2nd, and that was okay.
Well, it was a little bit more dramatic than that, because when the anglers started coming in, we actually turned the scoreboard updates off. So, we put Dane's fish in, we've got everyone's last fish in. There's always a few people that might have a drama with the app, and we just double check everything. Yeah. And when we updated it at the end, it was like, ooh, there was a little bit of a flip-flop in 1st and 2nd. We saw Dane's last fish come in, and we go, oh, that's going to make it pretty close, that one. And I remember there was a little bit of a gap between the final presentation, because we just had to double check everything, because I want to make sure it was 100% right. And I go, well, that's the way it is. And there's a fair good video on Facebook there of the moment your heart broke.
You could actually see it break.
Yeah. So a good bit of memorability there for you, mate. Like, you can't always be the winner. Sometimes someone's got to be second in some of these events. And I think you might have. Didn't you do it to Callum Munner up at Cania?
Yeah, sort of.
Knocked him off.
Yeah, back to front sort of deal. Come from 16th to 1st, but yeah, like we talked about it earlier. Just you can be either end of you're either 1st or you're 2nd, and then you just take the good with the bad. That's how it rolls. That's tournament fishing.
But you know what? The gap between 1st and 2nd place in most events isn't like $60,000.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, thanks.
Well, that's all right. You and Joseph Urquhart can both events we run on the Richmond River Grand Finals. I think Joey lost a $60,000 boat by less than 90 grams. It was only 10 grams, I think, at the end of the day. So
10 grams, yeah. Oh,
so
man.
Yours is a virtual, got streeted compared to.
At least I had a bit more of a buffer.
I suppose one thing coming out of the Mass Grand Final for us was the number of people who are interested in seeing that live scoreboard throughout the day. So, as you said, you had messages coming all the time of people telling you where you were. Yeah. Isn't it amazing how many people follow the scoreboards that you might think are not following it? They're probably doing something better with their Saturday, but no, they're watching the scoreboards and seeing how you're going.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, you just it was weird, because in the morning, hadn't heard from too many people, but then as soon as I was saying I caught those 2 big ones, the phone, I get notifications on the Garmin sounder there, and it just all of a sudden just went bing, 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 bing. I'm like, oh, something's going on. So yeah, it was good.
You would have had a sneaking suspicion you were doing all right after those couple of upgrades, though, wouldn't
I thought as much.
Mate, rolling from 2021 into 2022, we've got a pretty exciting calendar and a very expansive calendar planned for this year. Fingers crossed there are no COVID restrictions. We can cross borders. We're starting out with a double header down in Victoria. You were one of the ones that made the effort to go down last year, and you got to fish Blue Rock for a day, and you've actually fished Lake Glen Maggie before as well.
Yeah.
We're expecting some pretty exciting things to happen in those Victorian lakes this year. What's your take on it?
I love the fact that it's just fishing different venues that you hardly ever fish. Like I've been to Blue Rock I think 4 or 5 times before, and it's just totally different. It's totally different to Queensland dams, and it's vastly different from the New South Wales dams as well. So it adds a real spin to it. But then you've got the contrast. You've got Blue Rock, as we spoke about before. There's a lot of smaller fish. A majority of smaller fish, but there is those big kicker ones in there as well that can, anyone could come from, 15th and win at Blue Rock. That's just one of those places. But Glen Maggie's totally different, whereas the fish, there's probably less fish. They're harder to find or harder to locate, but they're big. I fished there a few years ago, and totally different to Blue Rock. Went from Blue Rock catching 20s to going to Glen Maggie and catching 45s to 50s. So it's going to be a really cool double header, and 2 different places that are close together there. It's going to be wicked.
I think there's something about the sort of value for money in going and being able to do 2 events with one set of travelling expenses that keeps the guys pretty excited as well, isn't it? To get a couple of events under the way straight, with one long trip.
Yep, perfect. Yeah, no, we had that. We had a little. Well, thanks to Virgin, we had some travel credits from last year, so we just changed them over to this year. It was good.
That's it. You did have an exciting trip out of Victoria last year with the COVID lockdowns, etc. And as I say, hopefully it's all in the rearview mirror for all of us. The rest of the season, though, another River Grand Final this year. It'll be going to be down the Clarence River. Events from Cania, got the Australian Open on Somerset this year. Sort of falls into your wheelhouse a bit this year.
Yeah, I guess I was looking at it the other day, sort of trying to get my head around it. But yeah, for me, I guess it's trying to get decent finishes at the start, and I'd like to think I was really confident with Somerset. Especially Cania. Cania is just one of those dams I love fishing. But I'd love to start strong at the Richmond. Down in Victoria, and then build that momentum into St Clair and Glenbourne, and then be able to finish it off in Queensland. Be nice.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people looking forward to having a disruption-free season and to go and see the people that you haven't seen for a while, like that social side of the Bass Grand Final. It was great to catch up with people that we've been kept from, and inherently, what we do is it's a fairly socially distant sport, especially if you don't have a non-boater for a day. You ain't going to catch COVID out there by yourself in the middle of the river.
That's right. But you're right. You're 100% right. Like a lot of my really good mates, I know through the ABT and fishing tournaments, and it's been difficult. The last 2 years been really hard because we're not seeing each other as much as we normally would, and these events not only are competitive, but they're great social events too. So we're really looking forward to it.
Mate, one final question I've got for you is, one of your other hats is a guiding job. You teach people and guide people on to fish through the southeast Queensland. How's guiding going for you, mate? Is it difficult during the middle of summer, or do the fish bite pretty well?
The fishing's pretty well. I get asked this question a lot, but the fishing's good all year round. It all depends on how you approach it. Every dam, every location sort of has its own little quirks and characteristics about it. But summer fishing is vastly different to winter fishing. So you've just got to you just got to change your techniques. As far as COVID's affected us a little bit because we're not getting interstate or international visitors, but the locals have been keeping us busy. And but I mean, there's so much to learn when it comes to seasonality, winter versus summer. You get transition periods in between. Anyone wanting to learn that sort of stuff, I'd love to take them out, and I'm passionate about it, and I love my job. So I'm really enjoying it.
How different is that? Back in the old days, you just chuck on a white bass man spinnerbait, fish it all year in every lake. It's all got difficult now.
It's not that easy anymore.
That's back when Carl was here, mate. Carl had it easy when it was just 3 different lures and throw them wherever you like.
He did all right, didn't he?
Mate, like you, I think we're all looking forward to Carl's season getting underway, but we're also looking forward to the Australian season getting underway. Good luck for 2022, mate. We're going to see you in another week or so down in Victoria with bells on.
With bells on, absolutely. Hopefully we get a smooth transition, but yeah, looking forward to it. Can't wait.
And if there you go, Maddie Langford, living the dream and living fishing. He guides, he fishes tournaments, and he has some great sponsors, including Rapala, who ran that ad there and is one of the naming sponsors this year of our ABT rounds. He's also sponsored by Buck and Bass. They make some of the shirts and jackets behind me, ones that ABT actually sell for them here. And we've got Buck and Bass on board for the Buck and Big Bass and Buck and Big Bream Award. You know what I mean there? That's $500 plus you get a Buck and Bass hat and a Buck and Bass head sock buff style thing, in addition to your Big Bass prize. So it's $500 plus a bit of Buck and Bass gear this year. You can win those awards in the Bream and the Bass side of things. Of course, in the Barra, we've got the Buck and Big Barra, which is a Buck and Bass suit that we give away each year. So thank you very much to the Buck and Bass guys for stepping up and giving some more product out so we can get you guys into some of the best gear on the planet. We talked a lot about the final reveal, I suppose, for the Bass Grand Final. It's only 3 minutes long. Let's play it now and show you just how tense that thing got. Have a look. I want you to lean against the boat. Feel it. Mr. Sheen did the other day. Feel how shiny it is. Dane, you've won a grand final before, mate. Last time you won $15,000 in cash. This is worth substantially more, mate. $61,000 this thing.
Yeah, it's a bit of an upgrade, this prize. It's a very nice boat.
How do you get 2 boats home on one towbar?
This guy.
We got volunteers. And Maddie Langford coming in at the end of the session. We hadn't done an update since we started manual entering fish, but you were leading at that point. Do you keep an eye on the scoreboard when you're out of the water?
Oh no, I've had a couple of people message me, but there was a stage there where I was in the lead. Yeah.
Dane, tell us about your big fish today. How long was it?
46 centimetres.
1.9 something kilos?
Yeah, it was a good solid fish.
Do you know how far behind you were the leader yesterday?
Probably about that.
About 1.9 kilos?
Oh, joking.
Did you know about that big fish?
No.
Your limit today was a 46, a 38, 37, something like that. What was the limit? Nearly 5 kilos?
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
46, 39 and a half, 38, 35 and a 34 maybe, about that.
Do you mental arithmetic that up? It was nearly 5 kilos before we hit refresh.
That's a crazy day. That's unreal.
It all happens on day 2. All right. How do I see the results, Nicole? Do I go to my phone? It's going to take me a while to do this. Who do you think? Who do you reckon?
I don't know.
Well, that's scoreboard. Well, I'm going to say, okay, here we go. Second place, 10 out of 10 for 8.458 kilos is Maddie Langford. Well done, Maddie, second place. So here's our winner, Dane Price. Dane Price, 10 fish, 8.547 kilos. That's 90. So there you go. If you think it can't be tight at the end of an app-based tournament, we have a bit of a plan for this. The last hour or two, Nicole, she just turns the scoreboard updates off. So you can see what happened up until lunchtime, but you don't know what happened in the last 2 hours. And as we all know in tournament fishing, a lot can happen in the last 2 hours. So at the end of each event, we'll sit down and we'll reveal those top 10 in the boater and the non-boater, and you'll only get to find out at that point who's actually won the event. So we're going to try it this year. It'll happen at the Bass events, happen at the Bream events when we're down to Victoria. On the entry forms, it tells you actually which events are going to be app-based and which are weigh-in based. Anything which can be weigh-in based generally is going to be weigh-in based. Let's have a talk next to a local on the ground down in Victoria. We're talking a lot about the Victorian road trip because we are leaving for it next Monday. Let's talk to the man who led the grand final for the Bream side of it on day one this year, Steve Duff. Now, you might know him from the man who was leading the Bream grand final on the first day this year, one of several Victorians that were kicking ass in that event, but we all know him as the man from Duff Rods, Steve Duff. Welcome to ABT Live.
How are you, Steve? Great to be here, bud.
Yeah, and wasn't it good? I'll let you have your 30 seconds of fame at the moment. How good was it? All the Victorians smashing the Bream grand final, first, second, third non-boaters, first boater, and even the first boater was overtaking you, who was the first boater on the first day.
That's right. That was awesome. It was. If I couldn't have pulled it through on the second day, I'm damn glad Mario did. And it all came back to a conversation we all had around dinner on the Sunday night where we were all sitting there. Mario was there, Cromo was there, Tommy's there, Fongy, we're all sitting there having dinner, and we just, as I hopped up and went to bed, I just said, one of us will win. One of us.
There you go. So you bet on half the horses and you come through.
That's it. It's just like taking the field in a way.
I think Victorians, there's a couple of Victorians like Warren, Carter and Cam Whittam in the past have enjoyed travelling a little bit, but typically, and yourself, but typically Victorians don't like travelling that much. Do you reckon this will give some of the Vickies, who are all really good anglers, do you think it'll give them the confidence maybe to travel north a bit more?
Well, I only hope so. I go into each year I'll look at the schedule, I'll look at what's on, and I say, if I'm going to do one, I'm going to do the lot of them.
Yeah.
And pretty much that's what a lot of these guys have got to look at it in the same way. If I do one or two, can I do the lot of them? Because I want to qualify for the grand final, and the other one is the AOY. So if the only way to do those is to go and do the whole lot of them. So maybe with Mario doing pretty well and Jesse doing pretty well, it might pull a few of the guys from down that way into actually traveling with them and doing the full circuit.
We a bit of inside ABT information here for you. We try to pick the number of ABT AOY events. The minimum number is normally the number of black bream events +1 or yellowfin events +1. So our theory is to win Angler of the Year, you've got to be good at catching blacks and yellows. So if someone can do just Victoria and Tassie and somewhere else and just on blacks, we thought, well, you've got to at least go to one of your out of your comfort zone events, and that might be, for me, that might be a black bream event, and for a southerner, it might be a yellowfin event.
Yeah, and the easier way for the guys that live down here is, to me, the blacks are a lot harder to catch than the yellowfin. Down here, you got to stop the lure. It's got to sit. You got to shake it in its face. It's very rare that you slow rolling and they just load up on you.
Yeah.
Up your way in the New South Wales, it's all about just the slow roll, putting the lure where it's supposed to be, the slow roll, the same. And if you're using a plastic, the same sort of thing. So for the guys down here, it's hard for them to actually stop, because they're used to having the pause and keep it moving. But simply just throw it out, give it a roll, and wait till it loads up. It's a lot easier than chasing blacks.
Queenslander retrieve, mate. Throw it out, wind in what jumps on it.
That's it. Crank and wind.
Works for spinner baits, works for bream.
That's right. Exactly.
We're talking to you today because a couple of reasons. Firstly, let's talk about your Rookie of the Year awards. We've expanded those this year. They were for the Bream, and we've had some great winners in the past. Brendan, we had young Jake Aitken. I fished with Jake on the second day at the Bream Grand Final. Fine young angler. But you've expanded that into the Bass this year. So for all the rookie Bass non-boaters that are out there, have a chance to win a quiver of Duff rods.
Yep.
What's the theory behind that? Is it just letting the bass guys know they're loved as well?
Yeah, plenty of love around. No, I like the idea of looking after the kids that are coming through. So the rookie years, you're in your first year.
Yeah.
And if we can help you out at the end of the year, you've had a good year, and we can help you out with a few rods that you get and a little bit of clothing to set you up for the next year and get you interested. And then 3, 4, 5 years down the track, you go and buy yourself a boat, and you're in there as a boater fishing against the rest of us.
Yep.
That's the whole idea behind it. Get the young guys coming through.
Yeah.
Or the old guys sometimes.
Well, that's right. And we have had rookies of the year, some of the older gentlemen as well. But I think that it doesn't matter how old you are. The excitement of winning or doing well in your first Bream tournament is palpable. I remember Brendan a few years ago catching his first limb in Tassie. He nearly dry humped the leg right off.
Yeah. Like I had it before, a few years ago, because where I live, and I fish the jetties and whatnot around Paynesville in the comps most of the time.
Yep.
I had Lindsay Pryke with me a few years ago, and I'd got him his first 5 bag working through the jetties that day.
Yep.
And I said to him, look, I know I had to hold you a little bit because I had to do what I'm doing. I said, but you've got your 5. And he said, I'm not worried about what you were doing. He said, that's the first time I've ever caught 5 in a comp. It's awesome. And he was to say he's dry humping in the back of the boat. So happy as Larry. And that's what it's about. Just get them there, get them excited, get them into the sport, because we need numbers.
That's good, mate. Lindsay Pryke, when he came, was mine on boat, all I got him was a lure in the middle of the head, so he probably enjoyed his day with you a lot more. The other thing we're talking about is the Victorian Tour. It's upon us. We're leaving for it in a week's time to go down. We're running, of course, 4 events across 4 fantastic Victorian venues. We all know Malakuta. We haven't been there for a few years for various bushfire / COVID / whatever reasons.
Yeah.
Gippsland Lakes, of course, the home of Big Bream in Australia. But then, and we all sort of know about that Bream side of it. But we're really interested in the bass side of it because a few of the guys got a taste of Blue Rock last year before it was cancelled on the briefing night. Pre-fishing it, seeing the big fish. I just want you to give us a bit of a run through Blue Rock and Glen Maggie and the sort of fishing the anglers can expect. Because if you've looked at the entry lists, there's a solid lot of out of towners coming down for it.
There is. I'm really happy with what I've seen with the guys that are entered, and there's still a few entries from down this way that I know that are coming in that haven't gone up, although I haven't checked today. But so Blue Rock, as we know, Blue Rock's full of fish. We had a club comp there on Saturday. Everybody caught fish. Lot of little fish like last year. It's this time of the year. The water temps like 25 to 27 degrees. So the bigger fish are going a bit deeper. The little ones are up on the edge. But there's plenty of them there. And running by the app, I don't know whether you're going to put a minimum size on the app or
minimum
not.
Size on the apps, mate. Everyone gets a 5 bag.
Yep. So everybody is going to catch fish. But then at the same time on Saturday, there was a guy that got the biggest fish in the comp. It was a 45.
Yep.
Another guy got a 38 and 42. I got a bag full of 44s and 42s last week. The place is fishing well. You just need to find them. I didn't go and fish on Saturday where I fished before because I'm just using it as looking around. So Blue Rock's full of fish. It's fishing well. It doesn't really matter what you throw at them. They're eating it. That's fine. Glen Maggie, on the other hand, is a totally different beast. Glen Maggie's full of fish from 35 to 50 plus, but you have to find them. And they're not easy to find. It's a mud bottom, rock edge lake with a main river. The McAllister River is probably 100 plus k's long that runs into it. And they can go all the way to Lacola if they want to, as in the fish that people fishing can't. And then there's the Glen Maggie Creek that runs up the other side under the bridge. Now, you've just got to find them. And sometimes it's a struggle to find them. I can go and fish a place 3 times a week and only catch them on one day.
Yeah.
Because they move around a lot. But the guys that are coming down.
That's the biggest limit in Victoria in that lake.
That's right. Exactly. You could come back with the app with 5 fish over 50.
Yeah.
What if you can find them?
That just sounds like it, mate. It's like little 50s everywhere. Just are they on your line? I don't know. That's the tournament.
That's it. That's it. And all the obvious stuff that the guys are going to see, they're going to go, God, that looks awesome. And they'll go there and they won't catch anything. They'll go to the most avoid spot in the lake, and it'll light up.
Yeah.
So, it's just a matter of getting a good practice day in and moving through a lot of water, but the rewards are massive in that lake.
Do they
down midway?
Do they group up when you find them? Are they single fish here and there, or do you just find a pack of 50s and it goes nuts?
You'll find single fish here and there. I recommend that. I sort of say it's a little bit like Somerset. Somerset, you'll go through Queen Street or somewhere, and you'll just get a fish on the bottom there and a fish on the bottom there. They're not together. You'll get that in spots, and then you'll come over another spot, and the screen will just load up.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of the big ones are just those single ones.
Glen Maggie itself, we've talked to the Powerboat Club there, and we're going to be able to use the Glen Maggie Powerboat Club's facilities both to run the tournament, but for anglers that want to come and camp, showers. I think you have a bar open on the briefing night. You can camp on site there. They've got a ramp on site. It looks like a fantastic deal. All the information that'll be up on the info sheet. But also tell us about what your young fellas organised for everyone at Blue Rock for camping.
Righto. So for Blue Rock, we've got the Cricket and Football Club in Willow Grove himself.
Yep.
So Taj got in touch with them and said, we've got a whole heap of people coming. Is it possible to camp there at the footy ground? So they've got a designated spot as you drive in just to the left behind the cricket nets, which is probably an acre and a half of ground, grass ground. Everyone's in there. $15 for the weekend.
Wow. Did you have to roll a few balls down for the cricket guys? Get a few nets bowlers involved or what?
Probably be up. Well, apparently I'll be training on Friday night, so possibly we could go and roll the arm over to a couple of them.
Roll the arm over. It reminds me of the old days down in the Glenelg where we set up street cricket for everyone.
Yeah, in front of the pub.
But, for all the Bass guys, a lot of guys are taking advantage of the fact that it's a double header. They can come down, get 2 events qualified for the grand final straight away. They're only an hour apart. You can camp at both of them now, so your accommodation bill for the whole time is going to be, less than $100. So and maybe catch some of the best bass that Victoria has to offer.
That's it, and both dams have got great fish in them. One is easier to fish than the other, but that's the same everywhere. It doesn't matter whether you go to Glenbourne and St Clair, like we've got the double header there.
Yep.
Occasionally, when one's on, the other one's down. So.
Yep.
But these guys will work them out.
Yeah, I tell you what, I was really happy last year with all of the imports, how quickly they worked out how to catch the legal bass in Blue Rock.
Yeah.
They didn't muck around, did they? They worked out how to catch them in a day.
Yeah, that's it. And look, the water's high again, like it was last year. It's in Blue Rock. It's up. That's why there's so many little fish up shallow. The water temperature's up a bit. It's a bit warmer than normal.
Yeah.
That's just because of what it's like. Like it's either raining or it's bloody hot and muggy down here at the moment. So it's really firing. And even Glen Maggie's the water's up a little bit. It just puts them into the deep. So it just makes them that little bit easier to sort of just drive along and see them sound up.
That's awesome, mate. One final word before we let you go. Malakut, we haven't been to for a while, and Gippsland Lakes. I've heard some rumours that you've had a bit of water in the lakes and the fish are a bit stirred up. It's going to be a bit of a level playing field for everyone. Yeah,
so we've been pretty well in flood for the last 12 months. I think we've had 6 full floods in the last 12 months.
Yep.
The water, whereas the last time everyone was down here in Gippy Lakes, we still had that bit of salt pushing through. The water's tanned all the way to the ocean at the moment. But there's fish here. I've heard reports they're all gone. There's nothing left. They're here. I know people that are catching them at the moment. I haven't been out because I've been concentrating on the bass side of stuff.
Yep.
But I know people that are catching them, and there seems to be plenty around. I haven't seen too many real big horses like we normally get.
Yep.
But there's that lot of what we call now the slot limit fish.
Yes. Under 38. Yes.
Yeah. There's lots of them around. So.
Oh, that's good, mate. Good to hear. And look, my advice is anyone who knows where they are, just shut your mouth until after the tournament. You might win a tournament if you find where they are. It just seems like all of the regular spots that the Victorians like etching their names on might be firing like some of the other spots in the system now. So.
Yeah, you've got to look a little bit further away than the mouth of the rivers at the minute.
There you go.
So
Well, that's awesome.
that'll help some, but yeah, I won't go too much further.
That's one final thing. Malakuta, how's she fishing at the moment? Nice yellowfin and black mixed fishery.
From what I've been told, both the yellows and the blacks are going. I haven't been up the Kuta for a couple of years. I generally don't get past Bem these days because the fishing at Bem's too good if you're going to drive east. So, but from what I've heard, the yellows are in the bottom. The blacks are still where the blacks are. Yep. It's been the same. It's been in flood a bit, but it's been opened as well. So the mouth is open. So it's running freely. So, yeah, and whenever that place is open, it fishes its head off.
Well, we'll see you down at the Victorian Tour, Mr. Duff, and anyone else that wants to follow the coverage. All 4 of those events on the ABT Tournament Series app, because of the bass limits, because of the slot limits now, which means there'll be live scoreboards for everyone that wants to follow on abt.org.au. I'm looking forward to it, mate. You looking forward to it?
I can't wait. I'll be honest with you. I can't wait.
There you go. We'll see you down there.
Will do, mate. Catch you then.
Seeing the fish, their position, and how they respond in real time. That's game changing.
There you go. Spot the difference. Spot the difference in this photo. What is different? We've said goodbye to our major ABT sunglass sponsor for the last must be 4 or 5 years, Costa. They've been taken over by a larger group and no longer involved with ABT this year, which is really unfortunate. Costa was a great sponsor of ABT. Costa Bream Series looked after all our anglers. Their market share went from 2% to over 50% of Australian tournament anglers that we surveyed anyway. But we have a new sunglass sponsors on board. These are a set of Maui gyms that we have here. And Maui Jim has come on board as our ABT official sunglass sponsor this year. So to Nathan and the guys from Maui Jim, thanks very much for stepping in and filling the gap and supporting us. One of the things they're going to do this year, apart from Maui Jim's prizes at lots of the different events, they're going to get everybody one of these little kits this year. This is a sort of a sunglass first aid kit that is really cool that you get with your set of Maui Jims. It's got a little Phillips head micro screwdriver in there that you can use to tighten up the screws on any sunglasses, no matter what the brand is. A bit of cleaning fluid and a cleaning cloth, all in the little leather pouch or plastic pouch that you can keep in the boat, in the car, wherever you need to clean your sunglasses. I know that this stuff is very useful in the salt water. Get a bit of salt on there, a bit of solvent to get the salt off before you clean the lenses. So welcome Maui Jim, new sponsor for ABT 2022, and you will see their selection of sunglasses being given out at the Bream and Bass events throughout the year. Remember, we've still got the competition going. We have this massive big box of prizes here from a variety of ABT sponsors. Let us know where you're from. It doesn't matter if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Nicole will be picking that. In another couple of segments, she'll pick a winner for that, and they are going to get a nice delivery from Australia Post at some stage next week. Next up, we have another Victorian local, Byron Hill. You may have seen Byron's video that he shot at the Bream Grand Final this year on different people's boats. He's got another project lined up for this year. Let's hear from him about what it's all about. All right, we've got him here on ABT Live, and we've had him on ABT Live before, but I reckon you must make more content than we make, Byron. Byron Hill from the boat shed down in Victoria, mate. What's it like down in in the state where we are all packing up to go to in only a week's time?
Pretty nice down here, actually. You know, I had 3 weeks up in New South Wales. It was all sunny every day. The weather was beautiful. And then the moment I crossed the border into Victoria, it welcomed me back with 4 seasons in a day. It's been like that ever since. But actually, I went fishing last weekend, and you know, the overcast weather with that little bit of wind on top of this, on top of the surface of the water there, it just reminded me what really good conditions you can actually have down here for fishing.
Yeah.
You know, things are looking really good. I'm really excited about this year, actually.
Cool. Firstly, thanks for the grand final coverage. You spent a lot of time and effort making a video there, and you personally made about 500 people aware of our calendar for next year. So thanks very much for that. And hey, we shared a good day on the boat. I showed you how to hook and remove hooks time after time, and I seem to remember at the time you squealed like a little girl every time I did it.
Yeah, I've got to admit that I am not a fan of hooks anywhere near my skin.
And this is coming from someone who lands a bream and you put it down between your legs and grab it with your dick.
It works. It works. It works. Yeah, I've been fortunate enough now not to have anything major like you've had, or you know, a few of my friends have had. So you know, touch wood. I stay away from that type of.
Well, luckily the Bream guys, we have such small barbs on our trebles that they can come out. It's the Barra guys you've got to worry about, because you get a 2-0 in there, and it is a trip to hospital. No matter ripping can take it out. And in fact, we did a video a couple of years ago. One of the Barra tour guys they did have a treble in their hand somehow. It wasn't even when they were fishing. It was when they were getting prepared to go fishing, and they tried to do the braid trick and tear it out, and it didn't work.
They just do more damage.
It's just pain all around.
Yeah, gross. That's gross.
So firstly, thanks for that video. But secondly, you've got a bit of you got an idea, because you got such good feedback from that. You got an idea of doing a bit more of it next year, and I want you to explain to the live viewers what you got planned for 2022.
Yeah, sure. So we've got. I'll be doing 7 rounds next year, just on my personal calendar. And I thought, hey, while I go around to those rounds, why don't we try and replicate and build on some of the good things that happened from that last video? So we'll try and tell the story, I guess, of a number of anglers. I think I've got about 6 or 7 lined up at the moment. And they are guys that have come forward and are pretty eager to rep the brand that is ABT in the tournament scene, and their love for what they do. We'll see how it goes. You know, it'll evolve. The first episode, kind of like ABT Live, the first episode won't probably look anything like the last episode. And then, you know, next year's, if we do something like that, might look a little bit different. But to, I guess, take a bit of an imprint for the viewers, we're looking at, I guess, something similar to what you might find the Bass Pro guys do over in the US. You know, those drone shots, a little bit of nice cinematics, the cuts, the audio kind of engineering that's going on in the background there. And to be honest with you, it's not taking overly too long to do. Like you mentioned before, I do a bunch of content, so it's about 1 a week at the moment. If you're doing 50 pieces of content a year that are short and long form, your workflows become quite quick. So we'll see how this looks. We've got a pretty action-packed calendar at the start of the year, from the 4 ABT rounds plus some Hobie rounds in there. So there'll be a lot of filming going on from my perspective, but you probably won't see the publish of that content just until I get a break in March, I think. Something like that. The first couple of weeks in March, expect that stuff to come out, just so that I've got the time to collect the thoughts. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the start of the season and getting on these people's boats and having a play around with you know, some shots and seeing how these guys break down the waterway. I reckon that's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's always that everyone does it differently, and as we say at ABT, who shares wins, and you can learn off every single person that you do it. For instance, I learned off you. You can take a bream off or put it between your legs and hold on it while you take the things out. You can learn. But you're going to have all that stuff done by the time you get to Tassie. You've signed up for Tassie as well, and you're lucky that we've got that sort of month and a bit break in between the two.
Yeah, and that's exactly when I think a lot of that content will come out, from the first few rounds. So I'll be doing the Malakuta round 1, pre-fished that last weekend. And then I'll be joining you guys again at Meat Tongue and Lake Glenmaggie for the bass. So that'll be the first bass round. I'm really keen to give that a go and basically see how that runs. I'm a beginner in that space. So I'm a beginner at all, really, retrospectively, when you consider some of the guys in the tournament scene. But it'll be a lot of fun. I won't get to the Blue Rock round, unfortunately. I've just got another event clashing with that, but 3 events, or for me, 4 events, actually 5. I've got a bit of an invitational that I'm attending after the ABTs, so it'll be like 2.5 weeks for me.
You'll be knackered.
Yeah, I'll be done by the end of it. But, I'll need that 2 weeks off.
4 events in a row, mate. That is what the Barra guys do for breakfast in the Barra Tour. They just do that before they do their drinking.
Around the clock as well, right? They've got session times all over the place.
Yeah. Tassie, it's you've been to Tassie before? You have. You did it on Boda last time, didn't you?
I did, and 2 years prior to that, I was there with the Hobie rounds as well. So this will be technically my 3rd trip, and this one I'm going to do the double header with you guys, and then the double header with the Hobie piece as well. So there'll be 4 rounds there. Really looking forward to that one, actually. The Derwent and then St Helens to take this boat there and have control of their own boat while I'm kind of venturing those waterways. I'm really excited for. There's always big bags down there, and there's some new stuff that I'll have on my boat that I'll be mucking around with as well. And that's the space that I really enjoy. So mixing the new product with the Tassie rounds as well. That's a match made in heaven for me.
For people that don't know about your channel, give us a little bit of a plug about where we can find your content that we want to watch. And if we want to watch the ABT Grand Final video, for instance, the live viewers might be keen on that. Where do they watch it?
Yeah, so I'll drop a link in the comments here below for your video. So after this stuff is done, you can go have a look at that. But I've got a YouTube channel. It's just my name, Byron T. Hill. That's basically where you get review and product-based content. That's just basically my experiences of fishing. So I'll cover everything from the tech, like sounders, Lowrance and Garmin. I've just recently moved and put all my electronics up the front of the boat to the Garmin Force, the same one you're using. And then I'll go through a lot of the stuff for brands like Shimano and Daiwa, and support their, product releases with my own reviews that kind of come out at the same time. And I'm in a very lucky position to be able to do that. But it is basically what the channel does, and reviews product and provides my opinion when it does come out. And hopefully that value adds to somebody,
As I say, we can all learn off someone, mate, and it's always interesting to hear other people's opinion about what's going on. Give us an example. What's your most popular video you've done now, mate? We talked about this about a year ago. What's winning the race at the moment?
I actually think that the very first one that I put up, or maybe the second one that I put up on the channel, period, is still the best one, which is a bit, there's a little bit of shame in that. So it's when the Hobie kayak came out that had a 360 drive on it, I reviewed that. And I think that's like 53,000 views at the moment. But the thing that seems to be happening on the channel as a standard is the number of goals and the views that continue to occur. So, for a very long time, 1,000 views in a day was the target, and now it's 2,000 views in a day. The channel hasn't had a day in the last 4 weeks or the last 30 days where it hasn't had something like 1,000 to 1,500 views in a day. So that's pretty cool. Just fishing content online. People are obviously consuming it. So if I can help people make smart purchases, I think that's the aim of the game, right?
I think the end of the day, if this man asks you to maybe cooperate and do a bit of something for him at the ABT events, you're going to end up on the right channels anyway. People are going to see your stuff, and you're doing it for all the right reasons. As far as we see, mate, you're helping to push the sport, and you're trying to give an unbiased opinion on what you think the good gear is. Here at ABT, we're real biased. If you're a sponsor of ABT, your shit rocks. If you're not a sponsor of ABT, don't care.
Well, I think it's. I think I'd like to push into a bit of that lifestyle stuff with you guys at the ABT as well. So. The brands, obviously, they can sit in the background, and sponsors are great for helping our sport do what we do. And I think that's awesome. I think a lot of people are consuming their fishing lifestyle on the water entertainment content on platforms like YouTube at the moment and Facebook. And the more people that are putting more content on there, in my opinion, the better. I think it's definitely the way forward, because it's on demand, so people can just watch it whenever they want to watch it, like this interview, for example.
You betcha. Final question I want to ask you. I want you to give me who your tip is. And remember, Victorians have just come off of good grand finals, boaters and non-boaters, belting it from who's going to win the 2 Victorian events? Who's your big tip? Malakuta and Lakes Entrance. Unprompted question, I know. Who's your gut feeling? Who are you going to put your money on?
I'd actually really like to see Pete Brokel do really, really well at Cooter.
He's put the homework into that joint.
Pardon me?
He's put the homework in on that joint, hasn't he?
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. He's got. I see him fishing there all the time. Particularly, he posts up there and he's got photos of his missus, and he's generally holding pretty good fish. So in the last 12 months in particular, I'd like to see him there. Declan Betts is a pretty hard bet. Is a pretty hard person to be bet against at Meetung. He seems to do consistently well there as well in that lake system. The system is fishing a bit funny. I think I was sending you a message about this a little bit earlier. I think the normal spots will just be a little bit tricky for the locals, which means that the odds will be evened for visitors. For Queenslanders and
the fish are a bit scattered around, so it's going to be a bit of a level playing field, maybe.
Exactly right. I definitely agree with that. All the spots that I've had to find new spots in the last month or two.
And we all know that Victorians hate finding new spots.
It's gross. It's good.
All right, mate. So we got Pete Brokel to win Malakuta. We got Decky Betts, old Wilfred to win Gippsland Lakes. We'll see how accurate your predictions are, mate. We'll catch you down in Victoria.
Thanks for having me.
Been a long show tonight, but season opening shows normally are. We've got a lot to get through. Our next guest on the show, someone who we all remember from last year, because who else caught a PB Bream in the last hour or so of the Australian Open and decided to do it live on our exclusive Daiwa-sponsored coverage. Michael Kolaric. We have a drinking game here. It's whether Michael says 100% more or I say awesome more. Let's count them. Here he is, the man who set the internet on fire last year. I think you were personally responsible for crashing all of our servers all around the joint for our scoreboards. Michael Kolaric, Daiwa Bream Australian Open champion. Welcome to ABT Live.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. And it's been almost 12 months since that day, and I've had a good rest, and I'm ready to defend my title.
Mate, you had an awesome year last year. You won that Open and won the Open, not just win the Open in public, showing everyone how it's done live on our live coverage. And then you went on to win Foster as well. That's, an Open and a qualifier in 1 year is a pretty rare achievement.
Yeah, especially the fact that you fish with someone, an observer or a non-boater with you that you haven't met before. You know what I mean? Sometimes that restricts you. You feel a bit nervous about what you should and shouldn't do. But everyone that jumped on the boat was fantastic. We worked well together and we fished hard, and it just all lined up. And so very, very blessed year I had in 2021. So it was good.
Now, you're in between houses at the moment. You are not in your house at the moment. I know this. We've talked beforehand. Yeah. Where is your Oz Open trophy? Is it in a box, or have you just stuffed it on the mantelpiece in mother-in-law's place?
No, that's actually at my old man's place. So I've got all my trophies and bits and pieces there. So nice and safe, and because I've got a little one running around here, so she definitely has to stay away from them. But they're nice high overlooking the water. So it's nice. Good.
So the bronze Bream is at home, and that Australian Open trophy, if you've never lifted it, man, that sucker's heavy. It's made of bronze. It must weigh about 6 or 7 kilos, I think.
Yeah, I did a couple of bicep curls with that. It's improved a little bit. Yeah, no, it's going good.
Mate, you said you haven't fished much recently. Like you had a great year last year. You've had a bit of time off the water, been busy with whatever you've been busy with. What does a plumber get up to when they're not fishing? Plumbing.
So when I'm not fishing, I'm looking after a 2-year-old and trying to keep them entertained and busy. So it's been pretty hectic 12 months, and especially with COVID and trying to run a business has been difficult, especially with people scared and all that sort of stuff. So I've been keeping the little one entertained, running a business, doing a little bit of social fishing here and there, and getting that big girl on the water and blowing out the cobwebs. So whenever I can, I'm out there.
I know that one of the most popular bits of social media we put up last year was the photo of you after Foster, and you're hugging your V8 Mercury, giving it a
it's taller than me.
Mate, I think that reached about 20,000 people, that photo. People tended to gel with the fact that you loved your V8.
It's funny because when I had my last bass boat, which was still running a Merc as well, I remember when I picked that up that year, I had a couple of first place finishes as well. And sure enough, I only picked up that boat within that year. And and bang, a couple of good results. So I think it's the mojo of when you buy a new boat. So
it takes a year and it sort of washes out, or how do you
look, I'm hoping not for 2022, but yeah, we'll see what happens shortly.
I know how much you polish your boat, but I reckon you wash the mojo out of it.
Yeah, there's still a bit of fleck left on it. It's still okay.
Got to leave a corner of it unwashed, mate. Leave the mojo on there.
Yeah.
Now,
No.
how do you prepare for you're a Sydney local, so the waterways we fish in Sydney are local to you, but the Open has a history of people from out of town doing pretty well. How does a local prepare for the Open, or is it something you just wing it on the weekend?
Look, in all honesty, I spoke about this last year as well. When you're local to a waterway and you've got so many spots to fish, you just kind of have a gut instinct where you know the fish will be at that time of the year. Like it's funny you mentioned this, because only a couple of weeks ago I was going through my camera roll and I was looking at sessions I've had at the Hawkesbury in the harbour with humongous fish and massive bags, and sure enough, always between March and May has been the biggest bags, and literally you could go through 3 or 4 years and you'd be like, that was the same spot I fished that year, same spot I fished that year. So you have a bit of a pattern where you know where big fish hold up. And in all honesty, I don't really pre-fish at all. Like I'm only a stone throw away from the river, and it's probably the least waterway I fish, to be honest. I spend more of my time at the Hawkesbury. So once you figure out the harbour and you know where fish are, you just have a bit of a milk run that you maintain and fish. And it's done pretty well for me every time. Like, I mean, I've only come first once, but I've been in the pointy end a few times.
Yeah.
So just trusting your gut, knowing where the big fish are, and just hopefully the hooks stay on.
It's maybe the fish a benefit from the fact that you're not flogging them every weekend. You know, if your big fish spot you only hit a couple of times a year, it's probably more likely to have a big fish in it.
Well, that's the theory, yeah. I mean, like the less you can pepper your spots throughout the year, you'd think that the bigger fish, you know, are less shy of taking a lure. They haven't seen a lure that often. So I think, you know, people might call that a bit of a, I don't know, a wives' tale. Like, oh yeah, you know, if you don't fish a spot for a while, you'll brain them. But you'd like to think that's the way it works. So yeah, they definitely haven't seen me for close to 6 months. So there should be plenty of big fish there still.
Now I heard that you sunk one of the boats on one of the spots I like fishing in near that naval wharf. One of those big boats sunk. Did you pull the plug out of that?
Yeah. Oh, it's funny you mentioned that. I just saw that on Facebook about a week or so ago. Yeah, I was shocked about that. That's a piece of history in Sydney Harbour gone. Like, I mean,
it's not gone, mate. It's just lower than it was.
Yeah. Well, technically there should be a bit more barnacles on it now, so there should be more fish there. So if anything, it's probably worked in your favour. But yeah, no, So yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, they haven't restricted that area off too much, so you can still get in there and have a look around. But yeah, that's another ship sunk down.
Another one. When I heard the story, I thought, I hope that it's not Gatesy's ferry that I just saw the title. Old Sydney ferry sinks. I hope it's not Gatesy's.
Yeah. No, I think he's still chugging around somewhere. So
yeah, I think he keeps the plug in his.
Yeah.
Now, we saw in the grand final last year, a couple of Victorians, in fact, lots of Victorians came up to the Clarence River, which is north of Sydney, and did really, really well on the yellowfins. Like, we had a Victorian boater and non-boater winner, Mario and Jesse. Duffman was leading after the first day. But I've seen very few Victorians coming to Sydney to do the Australian Open. Wouldn't it be cool to get some of those real gun Victorian anglers to come up and fish what I think is one of the best yellowfin fisheries in the whole world?
Oh, I totally agree. Like, you cannot go wrong with Sydney Harbour. It has got absolutely everything for everyone. I mean, it's so diverse, this harbour, and the time of the year that you do run this event, there's just so much fish. They're in abundance. Like, you really cannot go wrong. And the fact that the app event, if it does continue through this year, I mean, it's not even hard to catch a bag. I mean, you could have your bag in 5 minutes. So it's that simple. So it'd be awesome to see more people from other states coming to Sydney to fish it, and they definitely won't be disappointed. I wouldn't be surprised if they sell up and move up here. The fishing's that good. So,
well, we get a lot of Queenslanders come down. I know we get the Dennis McDawson, Luke Rogans, and Jamie McEwen's. Charlie Kay is a Queenslander now. Bernie, he come down. A lot of Queenslanders come south because they understand that quality of the fishery. And I suppose if I want to put it in context for the Victorians, you go to Gippsland Lakes, there's 500 awesome looking spots, and 15 of them have black bream in them.
Yeah.
Go to Sydney Harbour, there's 500 looking spots, and 490 of those spots are full of good yellowfin.
Yeah, 100%. Like it's the way it is. Like, I mean, and that's probably why a lot of the Queenslanders do come down to fish it, because it's like your canal system. There's pontoons and boats and wharves and
Yeah, but it's on steroids.
Yeah. It's times 10. Yeah. It's crazy. And the fact that it is so diverse, it keeps everyone entertained. There's plenty of things to do. There's nothing you can do wrong, and it's a pretty good fishery. So yeah, I'm pretty lucky to only live about a kilometre away from it. So yeah.
That's awesome. Of course, we all remember your the way you won that the Daiwa Australian Open Bream last year was live with your observer filming, catching the biggest fish you ever caught, trying really hard to lose it on the way in, and creating that drama. Mate, how many people have mentioned that to you, and how many people have watched that coverage over the years that have mentioned it to you?
Honestly, and this wouldn't even be a word of a lie. Close to about 30 to 40 people have messaged me saying that footage was insane. I've personally watched it over numerous times just because it was a PB for me, and the fact that it was in such a prestigious tournament, it was fantastic. Like it looked like it was meant to be. So it was really good. Yeah.
We couldn't. If Simon and I got our heads together and tried to write the best script, we couldn't write a script as good as what happens.
No way.
A long time ago, we worked out you can't make it happen as good as it happens in real life.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think we spoke about this. I think Greg just wanted to keep the trophy in New South Wales this year. So
well, you did well, mate, and it's good to see you're going to be back there giving it a crack. The Daiwa Bream Australian Open happening in March again this year. As we've worked out, any time when that warm water is down and that harbour water is not cold, it fishes really well. And it's nothing on the harbour to have a 20, 30, 40 fish day if they're biting like that. So it all comes down to who catches those keggers, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, March for me is such a prime time of the year to be fishing the harbour. Hawkesbury is like a venue, in my opinion, where you can catch fish more year round, just with certain techniques and patterns that I do. Harbour is more of a summertime of fishery, and March is the best time of the year. I always say March, big fish time of the month. So yeah,
that's it. One final question I got for you, mate. You've got that big Mercury V8 on the back of your rig, and Mercury's been a great ABT sponsor for decades now. They're just smashing it at the moment with those V6 and V8 platforms. How many hours have you got on that V8 now? You probably had it for year and a half?
Yeah, actually March is going to be the 2 years that I've had the boat, and I think I've only put about 70 or 80 hours on it. So really, it's not that much. Like I said, reason being I didn't fish too much in 2021. But mate, doesn't she put a smile on my face? It is such a beast. Like I still pinch myself, but yeah, no, it's such a great motor. I actually just went up to Lake Macquarie over Christmas time. Had 3 days out on the water with a full tank, and I managed 3 days of fishing with it. So even though people think it is a quite a big motor, being a V8 and 4.6 litre, it's still quite fuel efficient and it gets you around on a few days. So yeah, I'm wrapped, and you'll definitely be hearing that thing big crank up at the boat ramp during March. So.
Well, there you go. There's the challenge for all ABT anglers. The Australian Open event. It's an open event. Anyone can fish it. It's boater only. We throw an observer on your boat if you're at the pointy end of the field. There'll be some good coverage happening in one way or another this year. And this man right here is the man that you got to beat. And mate, you're going to be holding onto that trophy tight. We have had multiple winners before. There's been 3 or 4 people who've won it many times. So let's see if you can do it again this year.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Good on you, mate. Thanks for joining us on ABT Live.
No worries. Thanks for having me. See you guys.
So March 1st to 3rd, the Daiwa Australian Open this year. If you haven't had a go yet or want to have a go, come and do it. It's awesome. It's 100%. There you go. I think we got to 3 awesomes and 2 100%. So I think I knocked over Michael in the cliche department there. 1st to 3rd of March, boater only, $500 entry fee, 100% payback, and plenty of great fish in the harbour. All are welcome. We have a winner of Where Are You Watching From? The comment was made on Facebook by Kim Price, watching from Waihi Point in New South Wales. So, Kim, if you're still watching, flick us a message on Facebook Messenger to the Australian Bass Tournaments page, and we will get you out this tub of prizes minus the tub. I'm keeping the tub, but you can have everything which is inside it. Thank you everyone who entered. Thanks everyone who's been commenting tonight. Some interesting comments there, especially the Stars score against the Hurricanes. Smashing them. Going to enjoy watching those highlights later on. Got one more story tonight where we're going to talk about the very last boat from 2020/2021 that we're going to give away in 2022. And we're going to catch up with Charles West about the Bass Electric Grand Final. Here it is. So, field trip. Here we are outside the ABT office, and I've got one of the Bass Electric, the BKK Bass Electric Series organisers, Charles West, drooling over the prize boat for the 2020/21/22. It's the 2021 Grand Final, but happening in another month's time.
Yes, that's right. It's amazing to see a prize like this put together. It's quite a complete package. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the guys fighting it out for this, for sure.
And it's had a lot of change of venues. Originally, it was touted to be at Lenthalls, which has had like all of the water through it. I think every single bass at Lenthalls is now at Fraser Island. Then we were thinking about Baroon Pocket Dam was going to be awesome, but we couldn't get the permits from Sunwater to get the number of competitors on the lake at the one time. So it's ended up at Lake McDonald, which is a bit of a favourite anyway.
Yeah, it's a good venue for sure. Yeah,
that's right. It's a weedy lake. It's up behind Noosa. Should be a big event, and someone's going to win this boat there. Now, this boat, it's one of the alloy craft boats built by Bluefin. It's on the Precision trailer, same trailer as the guys in the Bass and the Bream Grand Final had their boats supplied on. It's all ready to go. It's got a built-in live well in here that's got, pump in, drain out. The live well in here's got plenty of room for even a 5 bass limit in the Bass Electric Australian Open. It's got this Lowrance Live 9 sounder on it, all rigged up by OMP style. And of course, the big motor guide at the front, powered by a green marine lithium battery. It's got a 50 amp hour, 12-volt lithium battery in there that weighs about 50 grams. It weighs nothing. And we've left it so that whoever wins it can put their own motor propulsion on the back. You can throw, I think, a 9 horsepower on the back of this thing, or the electric, and you're ready to go, Westy.
What else can you put in it?
About 50 rods.
Yeah, that's about it. If you're me, I'm putting about 50 rods on it for sure. But yeah, it's a complete package. It's amazing what you guys have been able to get through, and all the guys that support the series and put a boat like this together. It's really great. Yeah,
BKK is the naming sponsor of the Bass Electric Series, and look, it's basically comes about through a bit of their sponsorship money, but also the balance of the fees. You guys fish for some of the prize money at the events, and the rest of it we throw it in a bucket, buy something nice to give away at the end. Remember, the qualification for the Bass Electric Grand Final, you only have to fish one Bass Electric event in either 2020 or 2021. So it's not a real high bar to get over to get in the grand final.
No, that's right.
And if you've had a crack and want to have a go at it, you can fish with whoever you like in the grand final, like any normal Bass Electric event. Westy, who do you think some of the favourites might be up behind Noosa there on Lake Mac?
Oh, mate, I'm going to have to say a couple of locals. Chesley, I think he's a great angler himself, and I know he lives up that way, so I think he's spent a lot of time up there. You got the likes of Paul Fleming. From what I understand, he fishes it a lot. Whether
Did he qualify?
He could have. He done one event, which I'm pretty sure he's done one, not like last year, but the year before. Yeah, he's up there. And just some of these new anglers, like they're sort of dark horses, but yet they're great anglers too, as we've seen over the last 2 years. New guys coming through, and you haven't seen them before, but yet you go, oh yeah, he can fish.
That's right. We had a few winners, the guys that was like their first event. They came along, paid their money, took their chances, and there they are. They've won an event, and they'd have to be one of the favourites for taking home the Allocraft boat.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting event for AOY as well. Like you got Maddie Flynn, that's right there, and then Pete Bostock and myself, we're like 1 point behind. So,
so it's going to come down to the wire.
It's going to come down to the wire. I'm pretty sure that Flynn is going to be, he'll be making sure that he gets at least higher than third to really lock it in. But
he just needs to beat you guys, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly right. I think he does, mate.
Talk a bit about Lake McDonald. I've only fished there a few times. Very weedy lake, but also a really cool topwater lake. So can the topwater bite going to play maybe?
It could do. I think anywhere where it's heavily shaded, or you've got those lily pads that have broken weed under it. If you can find that, I do believe overcast day you can fish some of that weedless sort of topwater baits over the top, and I think you can get that surface bite for sure.
I want to talk a little bit about a video that I saw for the Tube film last year. You were filming a surface bite in the morning with a drone down on Maroon Dam, and I'm gonna dig it up and have it rolling in the background here. Just take us through the process of filming such an epic topwater strike. Obviously, it didn't happen first take, did
About
it?
16 years. No,
no, well, did
yeah,
you're an overnight
I've
success in 16 years.
Yeah, I've been trying to get that shot for so long, like floating a GoPro on styrofoam and just endless casts, but with a drone, you can really fly it over the top of some structure and without it disturbing the water too much. And where that shot is the drone's behind a section of lily pads and weed, so that water I wasn't too worried about disturbing. But yeah, I just went, hey, let's have a go. And I think it was like 15 minutes and I got that strike and I was like, oh yeah, that's priceless.
You know what would be cool is if you hovered the drone over the lilies and it blew all the insects onto the water and then the bass came up and ate them. That would be a handy pattern to have.
That would be great, mate. Yeah, are you allowed to use that pattern?
There's nothing against using drones at the moment. I'm waiting for the first person to try and long line a crankbait with a drone.
Yeah, no, that'd be nice.
I'll have to make up a rule when that happens.
Yep.
Look, as always, the BKK Bass Electric Series, it's our entry-level bass event. If you want to fish any of the BKK Bass Electric Series this year, and they're back as a naming sponsor this year, you get the entry form off abt.org.au. You pay your $80.
Yes.
You come along to the event, you sign in, you'll see either Westy or Adrian at one of the events.
Yep.
Sign up, they'll make you feel welcome. You can fish by yourself, with your mate. If you can hook someone up, we've had some blind dates, I think, on Bass Electrics. You know, guys that haven't even met each other before, go and fish an event together. Father-son's pretty cool.
Yes, yeah.
Got a few father-son teams.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, well, my first event that I ever did was with Joey Allen, and that was through the old forum days. Didn't know him from a bar of soap, and I said, yeah, I've fished off the bank for a little bit and I can locate some fish. He caught fish I didn't, so yeah, I think Joe will be appreciated to that. So
there you go. So we've made the barriers to entry as low as possible. You can qualify for the grand final. I'm pretty sure it's a fishing event again this year, and I don't know if we've worked out the grand final qualification this year.
I thought that's what it was going to be again. I think with that.
Well, we're finding our feet.
Yeah, I think so with all what's going on. But yeah, I think that's a great way of someone that turns up to a first event and yet can still win something like this. It's amazing. There
you go. They happen over all of the cool Southeast Queensland, Northern New South Wales bass rivers and impoundments. Keep an eye out for it on abt.org.au. The BKK Bass Electric Series. Thanks for coming in, Westy. Get your hands up.
You'll have the chance for showers or thunderstorms, and also little disturbances rumbling along this thing will bring us a chance for rain.
And I think that's it for the show tonight. We've given away a big box of tackle. We've talked to all of the winners, all of the people that are involved with events going forward. So I think that you and I are prepared for the Victorian road trip coming up. If you can't make it there and fish yourself, you can watch it all unfold on the live scoreboards on the app. Just a reminder, Malakuta should be pretty good coverage. Gibson Lakes will be good coverage. Blue Rock and Glen Maggie might be marginal for whether, how many live scores we can get during the events. But rest assured, there'll be some happy winners at the end. We're going to give away 4 big checks, 4 big trophies, and plenty of action around that big Mercury trailer happening this year. So thanks again to everyone who's helped us get the season started so quickly. We're going to see you in a month, and we're going to have a whole lot to talk about after that first tranche of events for the series have happened. We're going to leave you with our room clearer. It's only 48 seconds long. It's a trailer for Maddie Langford's video that him and Lane Furling made at the Open this year. It's called The Open. This is just a little taste of what's going to happen when it launches tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Thanks very much for Nicole for putting it all together. She's waving in the background. I'll see you at 6 tomorrow night when we all get to watch the video about The Open.